Live.
All right, fight fans. I don't know if you saw that fight card, but wow, explosive fights this weekend. SDP on MMA here. This is SkyDon, and this is my dad with me here, always and forever while we're doing this show.
Yeah. Don. What's going on, everybody?
Yep, so Dad was a winner chicken dinner this last weekend. Kind of blew everybody's minds calling the foreign Rotterdam card. Yeah, that was impressive. Why don't you go ahead and touch up on that?
Yeah. UFC Fight Night 115. Was it 115? Was that what it was?
Yeah, 115.
I got 11 out of 12 picks correct on that last one. I don't know if you guys have checked out that last video, but yeah, it was right on the money. I couldn't have went any better for me. I think I came out 92%, 93%. SkyDon picked 7 of the 12, came out right at around 72%. So, yeah, we're batting together collectively right at around 77%. So, all in all, we're hoping our numbers just keep on going up. But, yeah, if you were following and you listened to anything I said, and you might have made a little money like I did. So, yeah. I missed the big payout because of the first fight on the card. It's the only one I missed. Holbrook just didn't show up. I don't know where the hell he was. What do you think happened there?
Well, first of all, I got to recap on I totally counted Goody out of this fight. And I got to go back and give him his respect. I think that him going over to Jackson Wink and training there, Jackson Wink it was, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I totally overlooked that. I totally misjudged it. Came out, looked great, ate a couple of shots, but really put it on Holbrook. And I thought that Holbrook was going to have the game plan to come out and be aggressive, so he didn't really expect that. But, man, Goody looked sharp, didn't he?
You know, I think what I said was it all depends on which guy shows up. And that was the guy. I was not underestimating him by any means. I knew exactly what that guy brings to the table, and yeah, man, I just didn't know that Holbrook wasn't gonna be there. He's proven to have kind of a weak chin, I think.
Yeah, when he has equal pressure meet his wrestling pressure, that was the other thing. I think every takedown he went for got stuffed. So once you can't put together your wrestling game plan, and that's kind of his infrastructure, once you can't lean on that, he seems to get flustered. And I think that Goody and the guys at Jackson Wink did a great job at preparing Goody for, look at that, I mean, a TKO in round 1. Crazy.
Yeah, it was sick. It really was. And then Skylar had a huge call, if you were following last week. He said flat out that the Mairbek Tosimov versus Felipe Silva was going to be fight of the night, knockout of the night, something. Sure enough, way to go. Sure. Good call, brother.
Sure enough, Tosimov with the smoothest uppercut of the year for the knockout at round 1. Oh, my God.
Unbelievable, right? He just keeps getting better and better, too.
That was insanely good. We knew. I mean, I studied it between Silva's Muay Thai and his dirty clinch boxing and Tysomov's movement and preciseness with his hands. It had the reading all over it. But you know what? Shout out to you too, because I was just reading this on MMAmania.com, and guess who else got performance of the night next to Mairbek Tysomov?
Who's that?
Zabit, your boy Zabit Magomed Sharipov.
Oh, Sharipov, yeah, right? I mean, I knew he was going to bring it, too. He always does. He's got big hands, and he's got a lot of energy. And you know what? If he gets you in that first round, he's like a stick of dynamite.
Yeah, you weren't kidding, and I totally misjudged him. I didn't like his character. You know, he looked like one of those roll out of the bed type of guys, and I didn't know a whole lot about him. But wow. Yeah, Night of the Russians, if you want to touch on that.
I'm telling you, man. I said it. The Russians are bringing it. They've got something in the water. I don't know what it is, but they are churning out tanks. Those guys are strong. I mean, it doesn't really matter where the fight goes, if it stays up, they strike until they get hit, and as soon as they feel like they take too hard of a shot, they go straight for that takedown, and they are relentless. And I'm not kidding, man. Who was it? Kabalov.
Kabalov, yeah.
Oh man, I mean, they were just all of them. They were all on their game too. They all came to play.
Yeah, every single one of them. So after the Holbrook loss, you picked things up and didn't fall off at all from there with the Abdul Karim Edilov versus Bojan Mihajlovic.
Yeah, man, everything just kind of fell into place from there. Are you wanting to break down each fight back through that last card, or you want to? What do you want to do?
Yeah, let's just touch up on it, on how it finished.
All right, you talk. Let me pull up the card.
All right. Yeah, Edilov just really put it on Bojan. Like we said, everything in his film progression, although he hadn't had a fight, I think, since 2015 or 13. That was the big worry, but man, came out, looked precise, looked sharp, looked like there was no layoff, and got the knockout or the TKO in round 2, and God, he just did Bojan ugly.
Yeah. I picked him for a knockout. I had him for round 1. But again, that was a great performance. What's the guy, Bojan Mihajlovic? I think he should be about done. I think that should wrap him up in the UFC. I could be wrong, but I think he's taken too many losses.
It's either that or move down a weight division. He seems awfully short for a lot of the guys coming through.
Something, and then the next fight after that was just, it couldn't have gone any differently than what I think you had projected. Mike Santiago, just, I don't know, man. He maybe he's never seen what those Russians do.
Oh God, with Sharapov throwing the spinning shit and fighting real long, keeping the distance. Good God, I mean that
dude, and for a UFC debut.
Yeah,
good insane. Lord. So yeah,
that wasn't an easy opponent in Mike Santiago.
Oh no,
everybody knows he's got good fundamental wrestling, and he's got huge power in his hands. So to move past that and glide on with a submission rear naked choke in round 2, that was awesome.
I can't say anything other than what we just said. The Alexander Rajic fight afterwards against Barroso. It went the same way, his UFC debut, and I picked him as well. And I mean, it was just like, I don't know what it was, but I just kind of had this sense that these guys that were making their debuts, they were bringing it, man, and they did, dude.
They really did. That was my big thing with Rakic. I didn't know anything about him. What was he going into it? Was he undefeated, 8-0, or?
I don't even remember what it was. Let's see.
I can't remember what it was, but man, I totally underestimated him and thought Barroso's experience was going to see him through. But
yeah, it doesn't show their records anymore, so I don't have it in front of me. But after that, we had Kabalov, Rustam Kabalov up against Desmond Green.
Saw that one through.
That one went pretty much exactly the way we called it. The same way with Michelle Prazeres up against
just different
Matt
levels.
Burnell. Yeah.
Different levels on both of those fights, you could tell. Desmond Green, I don't think was... I'll say this, Desmond Green held his own. Obviously, he didn't take a knockout or get one of those greasy submissions that Kabalov grinds out of you. But, man, holy smokes, does Kabalov's hands look quick, and just everything looks good about him.
Yeah. Tosimov, we already touched on. Darren Till, amazing, once again, up against Bojan Velocevic. Won by decision, same way I called it, and man, let me tell you, that dude put on one hell of a show, didn't he?
Yeah, let me give Till a good flex right quick. That guy, I can't believe him. He's going to be so big, and I don't even think the world knows who this kid is yet, but I think after this fight, you and I have hopped on. And, shout out to Bojan, too, because there was plenty of times he could have quit in that fight, and that dude just came to bang with
he's a warrior.
The harder banger.
Yeah, mad respect there as well. I totally agree. Leon Edwards, Brian Bam Bam Barberina.
Woo!
Yeah, Bam Bam didn't show that. He didn't show the other night.
No, he had that one flush uppercut that I think he should have capitalized and could have taken the fight because
He,
Leon was out there for a second.
he needed. I mean, there was a time there where he was trying to kind of put his will and put Edwards up against the cage and just kind of implement his will with him. And man, as soon as Edwards broke away from there, Edwards didn't want to ever go back to that spot, and that was the end of that.
Yeah, that was. And the wrestling and Leon Edwards, I underestimated his top game. I gave him, I think, like a B plus, and I'll move that up to an A if you can keep Barberena on his back for 2 rounds straight. But man, God, Bam Bam got so close to doing it, what he always does, and that's just, there's a shot or a submission out of nowhere that nobody sees coming, and I was looking forward to getting that TKO finish and telling everybody, you know.
I think if he would have had the tenacity that he's shown in the past, where he follows up and, you know, the combinations is what it was lacking.
Right.
Just continuing, hunt Leon down. I didn't see, you know, the head hunting that he typically kind of goes for. He was looking for that one big shot, and it needed to be multiple shots. You know, Leon Edwards he's got a chin, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, he does, and he has the ability to survive. And because of that, the grind, once again, the wrestling grind, kept him through. Even when it got on the verge of really ending bad for him, he somehow kept going. It's amazing how he pulled that off.
Marion Renault against Toledo. I don't know. It still shows Bernardo here, but it said Oliveira or something else on the deal on the Bovada when we bet. But either way, it's Toledo. That one went down just as we saw it. Renault just ground her way to another victory.
There's nothing to go over here. Go look at the last video, and everything we said about Renault happened.
Yep. Sayer Bahadazura against Rob Wilkinson. Man, that one that was another one where I guess I thought Rob was going to bring more to the table on that one. I don't know.
I did too, and it's a shame I thought that. And did you know, I saw this the other day, did you know Sayer called the minute of that knockout?
No, really?
He said, I will have my opponent asleep or knocked out by 7 minutes.
Wow.
I went and looked at his Instagram, and it's true. He got on stage and said that publicly, and sure enough, dropped him in the 7th minute.
That's crazy. And then the final match with Volkov and Struve, man, that was just a battle. And, you know, we both picked Volkov, but, dude, there were times there where, man, I thought either one of these trees could fall.
Yeah, I think Struve, I've said it before, man, he's on the back half of his career. He had some phenomenal stuff happen and when he was able to use the size with the youth, I think. But as he's gotten older, he falls apart in the later rounds. The hands seem to drop, and that's a lot of body and a lot of head to protect.
That's a lot of body and head to keep going for 3 rounds.
Right. So I don't know. I don't know what his advantage is anymore if he can't take it to the ground and find a way to use those big limbs for the jiu-jitsu. I don't know where you go from here. And Volkov really put it on him in the second and then the third round. I thought it was pretty even in the first, but impressive for Volkov, though.
Yeah, all I can say is I wouldn't want to be in the ring with either one of those war machines, because that's what they are, man. Those two dudes, somebody was going to fall. When we said it, right at round 2, it was like, so one of these guys is going down, period. And you know what? It being a 5-rounder, I don't know that either one of them would have went 5 rounds.
No, there was no way in hell that was happening. The posture and the deep breaths, you could see it all by the beginning of the 3rd round. I think Volkov knew that he had to go for it. Otherwise, this is just going to get even sloppier.
Right. Well, all right. Well, let's move forward then. Congratulations to both of us, I think, are in order. So, yeah.
Congratulations to you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that was a hell of a night, and let's just hope that we keep this winning streak up, because if you're listening out there and you're listening to what we have to say, then hopefully, if anything, you're listening to our picks. So we are going to talk about UFC 215 this coming Saturday, September 9th, pay-per-view, Edmonton, Canada. The headliner is Demetrious Johnson versus Ray Borg. Got two titles up for grabs. Got that one, and then the Amanda Nunes versus what's her name, Valentina Shevchenko.
Number 1 versus number 2 in the world.
Yes. So we'll get to those. We'll start at the bottom of the card. Let's see here. We have got Kajan Johnson versus Adriano Martins.
Yeah.
Lightweights?
Both lightweights. And both of them are very good fighters in their own ways. Martins is the southpaw. He's got a big left hand. He's got great movement on the back foot. He's super tough. He's 28-8, 34 years old, 5'10", 72-inch reach. I thought this was interesting. He trains at Top Life Amazonas. I might be saying that wrong, but I've never really heard of that camp. But he's managed to pull off a pretty good record and some great wins, especially a KO win over Islam Makhachev.
He's also trained in American.
Oh, what?
He's also trained in American Top Team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's where he's been working on his striking.
Okay. Well, yeah, he's got a decision win over Kovalev. He's number 23 ranked in the world. I think he's going to take it here. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Johnson has a chance. He's got Muay Thai, clinch. He's long. He's lanky. He's got a nice straight right. Seems to have pretty good jiu-jitsu fundamentals, but he's 21-12, 33 years old, 5'11". And here's what got me here is he's fighting out of TriStar. And if you know anything about TriStar, these guys can wrestle, these guys can grapple, these guys can strike. And it said that he's training with Faraz Zahabi. But here's the catch with him. He hasn't fought any big names in the UFC yet. So he's got 3 fights. All pretty impressive in their own right. But, I don't know. I got to go Martins here. What do you think?
I got Martins picked too as well. Brazilian, like I said, training with American Top Team. You know the striking's going to improve. I too was impressed with his win over Rustam Kabalov. He won that by split decision. That was back in 2015. But this guy is a world champion Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist. He's a fantastic wrestler. His last fight was a unanimous decision loss to Leonardo Santos at UFC 205. The guy is a great counter striker. He's got lots of power. I'm putting it in his shoes to win. Johnson, they're both veterans. Johnson's got 34 fights of his own in MMA. This will be his 4th UFC fight. So far, he's lost 1. He's won 2. He fought Nutoki Kotani last, and like the fight before that, he won by unanimous decision. So it doesn't look like he's come in and has turned into like a knockout artist or a finisher by any means. So I'm gonna lean on Martins to kind of put the pressure on him, and I don't know, man. I don't know if I picked him for a finish or not. I'll have to look, but that's pretty much how you line that one up as well.
Yeah, I think he'll probably end up taking this by decision.
All right, cool.
I also like how he's southpaw. You know me and the southpaws.
Absolutely. I got Martins by decision.
Oh, there we go.
And I couldn't find anything on the Vegas odds for them yet. Did you?
I did not. It's a little too early in the week to really project where we're going to be anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of what I thought too. So, all right, moving on to the next fight. We have Luis Henrique versus Arjan Bhullar. They're heavyweights.
Yeah.
I'll start off what I found out. What I do know, Henrique, we've seen him fight a few times. He's a brown belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a boxer, Muay Thai, takes big shots like he did in the fight with Tybura. Ultimately, he couldn't weather the storm. He lost to stoppage late in the 3rd round. In the fight with Francis Ngannou, he took a huge left uppercut and was knocked out. So, I mean, the guy has the capability of being put down. However, this is Bhullar's first UFC debut. He comes from 6-0 out of Canada, the MMA league called Battlefield Fight League. He's an Olympic freestyle wrestler. I really don't know anything about him. I couldn't find any real footage of his MMA skills other than what I saw in his wrestling. I think it's going to take a whole lot more to to put Henrique down, so I'm going Henrique.
I'm with you. I'm going Henrique as well. He's 10-3. He's got a huge right hand. He's an orthodox fighter. He's got trips and throws from the clinch. He's got great takedowns. He's 6'1". The only thing that worries me a little bit is I like to think of Luis Henrique as untapped talent. He's 24 years old, fighting at Tata. Or did you? I got Tata fight team. What did you say? What did you say you had him?
I didn't have anything down for him.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I'm going to take him just because I don't know a whole lot about Bhullar, if I'm saying that right. I don't know. I went and looked at a YouTube video, and he comes from like a super long lineage of freestyle wrestlers. Like, that's what he does. That's everything he has. And then I looked at a little film. He throws in knees, he throws in elbows, but from what I see from a striking standpoint, he's got a real sloppy base. He swings heavy and wide, which it can help at heavyweight if you connect. Mm-hmm. But it just looks like you need a lot more priming standing up, and especially if your fight history is only in hard knocks in the BFL. This is the UFC, and Henrique's fought probably what's going to be our new UFC heavyweight champion. Leave a comment if you think I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm there on that boat just yet. However, I do have him projected for a knockout round 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna go knockout round 2 because they're heavyweights. I was gonna say round 3, but round 2.
All right, moving on. We got Mitch Clarke versus Alex White in the lightweight division. What you know?
I know that this fight's really hard for me to pick. You got Alex White. He's 11-3. He's the southpaw in the fight. The thing I don't like about him is his hands stay real low. At any given point in the fight, he's not up here and he's not here. Seems to be more chest high hands, and I'm not sure what the reason is for that. But he delivers real hard hooks to the body, and he's real good with takedowns. He likes to dirty box and make it a grind on you. He leads with the chin down, so the hits he does take to the face are very minimal. He's got a decent wrestling base and super heavy ground and pound. I'm talking like real deal ground and pound that you don't want to let him get a double leg on you. I'm just saying. He's 28 years old, 6 foot, coming out of Team Destruction. I like what I see, but then you've got Clarke, and this is what makes it such an interesting fight to me. Is Clarke's the orthodox fighter. He's older, 31 years old. He's 5'10", coming out of Hayabusa Training Center in Canada. So he's got the home support. He's got super nice single and double takedowns. So if White's a B+ at wrestling, I give Clarke an A+ almost. He's a human backpack. He's got a great rear naked choke. He had a full camp at Jackson Wink MMA this fight. He's fought Joe Duffy and Mike Chiesa, and he's got a win over Al Quinta. I'm gonna go Clarke.
Okay. Well,
not confident.
I've got Clarke too. I don't know if you mentioned he's a brown belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artist. He showed a great tank going strong into the 3rd round with Mike Chiesa, but he lost that one to decision. He did beat Al Iaquinta. But yeah, being trained with Jackson Wink, you know how I feel about that. In that fight with Irish Joe Duffy, man, Duffy came out there and just threw it on Clarke. Like, he submitted Clarke after drilling him. I mean, just popping him hard, and he took a beating there. So, I don't know. I guess it'll all depend on what this guy White, what he's going to bring to the table. Because if he comes out there the way he fought against Artem Lobov, to me, that's his most notable fight, to date. That was in 2016, last year. He's only had 2 wins in the UFC so far. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think I'm going Clarke.
Yeah, I'm not confident in this. I'm serious when I say that. I don't know if this fight's going to grind. I don't know if this fight's going to drop. It's very hard to tell what's going to happen here, but I have to think that Clarke's wrestling and his jiu-jitsu is going to hold him through against such a such a heavy swinging striker like Alex White.
And I got Clarke by decision.
I got Clarke by decision too.
All right, cool. Then the next one we have is Gavin Tucker versus Rick Glenn in the featherweight. I'll start off. Tucker from a town in Canada called St. Anthony. 60 people in this town, dude.
What?
Yeah, seriously, right? He's undefeated right now. This is his first fight in the UFC was against Sam Cecilia. It was a banger, dude. I went back and watched it just so I can kind of get refreshed on this guy. He displays amazing, sharp, accurate strikes, fantastic kicks. He's really, I mean, the dude's got amazing, amazing feet work. You'll love it, dude. It very reminiscent of like Dominic Cruz to me. Really quick. He put on a camp on Sam Cecilia, and that's hard to do, dude. Sam Cecilia is a hell of a wrestler too, and man, Tucker stopped everything he had coming at him. I can't wait to see this guy again. Seriously, if you can, go watch his first fight with Sam Cecilia. So I'm excited. Glenn comes out of the World Series of Fighting. He was the featherweight champion in that in that series. This will be his third UFC fight. He's got 1 win, 1 loss, and both of them went to decision. I don't think this fight's going to decision. I've got Tucker. Knockout, second round.
Yeah, I think that's probably the safe bet. Glenn, 19-4, 28 years old, 6 foot. He's got a huge reach in this fight, a big advantage, 76-inch reach, coming out of Pura Vida, BJJ, MMA. He's southpaw. What I don't really like and what I also like at the same time about Glenn is he's super patient and he waits for the sharp, straight left. He also throws a lot of elbows and is pretty vicious from bottom guard. But he needs to work on his takedown defense, and I see that being a really big problem here. He gives his back up, and he really needs striking improvement, whereas Tucker is 31 years old, 5'7", is 10-0, and I think he's really going to do it here. He's heavy on the back, and if you can backpack Glenn, that's what I've seen repetitively wrong in Glenn's mainframe. In his fighting mainframe, somewhere inside that kid, he says it's okay to give his back up. And I think Tucker being 5'7", you know how 5'7" backpacks work. Tyron Woodley's. We've seen Robbie Lawler do it. We've just seen so many wrestlers that has the ability to take your back and just, yeah, there you go. And just sit there and keep it there. And the thing I really liked about Tucker, I don't know if you saw this, is he's got ferocious ground and pound. I mean, just lays the hammer any chance he gets.
Dude's well-rounded. I mean, Tucker's bringing it all. That guy's incredible on his feet, though. I mean, his footwork is just something, man. He's quick. He snaps his jab, and he's got power. So, I'm looking for big things out of that kid. I really am. He excites me.
Yeah, I like how dirty he is in the clinch. He's a straight Spartan, and I think he's going to put it on for his little town of 60 people. I think he's going to have all of them a reason to believe. He's got a great uppercut and a right. Yeah, I'm going to go Tucker by TKO, ground and pound, round 2.
All right, cool. Brings us to Sara Moras versus Ashlee Evans-Smith in the bantamweight, female bantamweight division. What you got?
Moras, cheesecake, 29 years old, 5'7", coming out of Cejudo MMA. She's internationally ranked number 46, bantamweight in the world. Losses against Andrade and Pena. She last fought in 2015, which I thought was interesting. She's the orthodox fighter. She drops her hands when she kicks. She has a super square stance. But here's where she makes up for it. She's got great adjustments on the ground. If she gets the mount, you're not going anywhere, I assure you. And she's got great pressure while attempting submissions. That's a conversation we were having the other day, you and I. We were talking about you got to apply pressure if you want the submission. You got to apply pressure if you want dominant position. You can't give a fighter time on the bottom to think. And so that's where I think she's really good. All of this is based on the ground, though. Standing up, she's not going to be able to handle Smith. Smith is 5'2". She's 30 years old. She's a bit more seasoned. She's 5'8" with a 67-inch reach. She's training at Rein MMA, which they're on the map. They're coming up big time. She's ranked number 16 best female bantamweight in the world. She's got wins over Marianne Renault, which that's funny. We were just talking about her. And a KO win over Macedo. And she was previously with Team Oyama. She's orthodox. She's got a good feint with the jab. I also like her regular jab. She's quick boxing. And I like the flurries of short punches she puts on. And she also throws great Muay Thai knees. So because of that, because of the aggression, I'm going to go Smith.
All right. Well, on Moras, she came out of the Ultimate Fighter season. Man, I can't remember what season it was. But anyway, she's a purple belt in no-gi jiu-jitsu. She was beaten by Jessica Andrade. It was an awesome fight. I went back and watched it. Sara showed toughness and a refusal to give up. Yeah, she's a tough girl. Smith is everything that you said. She's a 4-time All-American wrestler. She's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. She took a loss in a mean fight against Ketlen Vieira, who is also on the card coming up. The fight stayed on the feet. The girl can take a punch. She took a loss in her UFC debut to Raquel Pennington. That's a tough fight, no matter how you look at it. She did get the win over, like you said, Marianne Renault, also on the card, or was on the card last week. Is that right? Mm-hmm. But I've never seen her go to the ground yet. So I don't know what she's going to do with her wrestling because I've never gotten to see it yet.
I've seen a little bit. She's really good. What I like about Smith's ground game the most is if she gets your back, you know how some fighters either choose to, some are good at balancing both, but a lot of fighters choose to either go super ground and pound, or they try to take the back, but there's little things that are missing when they try to take that dominant position. Smith has got it textbook. You set the hooks, you go for the body triangle. That's what you do, and especially if you have 3 rounds in you. So that's what I've seen from her ground.
Well, I'm with you. I'm going Smith. Let me see real quick what I picked her at. I've got Smith by decision. So
I'm going to go Smith by knockout.
Yeah, what round?
She's going to have to put a little grind on Moras, so I'm going to go round 3.
All right, and then let me just close by saying there's something about Smith that I find extremely sexy.
Yeah,
Woo!
I'm with you. Something about that attitude, and especially when you go look at her hands in the gym. That's hot too, by the way.
Yeah, she's cute though, man. She's sexy. All right, so Henry Cejudo versus Wilson Reis in the flyweight division. You started off, I'll start this one. Cejudo, I mean, everybody knows Cejudo. 2008 gold Olympic wrestler. His last win, however, was in 2015 against Javier Formiga. Is that right? Formiga? I can't remember. Formiga, yeah. He was the Ultimate Fighter Season 24 coach with Joseph Benavidez, whom he wound up losing that fight to, the coach's fight at the end of the season. He lost unanimous decision.
A lot of people think he won that fight.
Yeah, I mean that was a tough fight, dude. Turned right around and had a loss to Demetrious Johnson by knockout before that. So he's had 2 heavy losses, but those are both top-rated fighters in that division. Wilson Reis, same. I mean, the dude is fighting top guys at the top of that division. These are just 2 world-class fighters that are going to go at it. They both have really good records. I am leaning towards Reis only because when I went back and watched the Demetrious Johnson fight, it looks like he has a little bit more speed and a little bit more power behind his punches than Cejudo's bringing. And I don't know that Cejudo can take that much damage if those shots are going to connect the way I think they're going to connect. He didn't take much of a beating with Dennis Bermudez, And I thought Dennis was going to really bring it with some, because he's got some devastating hands. And I didn't really get to see a whole lot of that. I thought he was going to really punish Henry's face. But I really think Wilson is going to. So, yeah, I've got Wilson. Let me just tell you real quick. Wilson by decision. How about you? You there?
Yeah, the Skype thing goes up a little bit. You still there?
Yep. So did you hear? I got Wilson by decision.
Yeah. This is one that's interesting for me too, because I went without any hindsight and looking back at film. My gut was like, Hayes. And then I went in and looked really what is Cejudo's breakdown? What else does he have to offer to the sport other than Olympic wrestling? And what I found was this kid just continually gets better. He started off with one foundation, and everybody, he's an Olympic gold medalist, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
Yep.
But that's kind of all he had there for a couple of his fights, that, and he was really quick. And when I went back and looked at his last fight, although it was a decision loss to Benavidez, he still dropped Benavidez. I'm saying that right, Benavidez?
Yeah, Benavidez. It's fine.
Benavidez. He still dropped Benavidez with a really, really, really short right hook, and there wasn't a whole lot of sting behind it, but it just connected flush, and Benavidez, being who he is, obviously got back up. But you have to wonder, at that weight, I'm not used to seeing that type of power unless you're a Conor McGregor, or unless you're who else in the flyweight hits like that? Demetrious, of course. So I don't know. It's hard to say who takes the cake in this, because Wilson, he's got quick hands. The thing I really like about Wilson is he's a backpack fighter. If you give up your back, you're screwed. Ton of body kicks, but I don't think he has the same power in his hands. At least that was my read on it. And I thought that was interesting. Like Cejudo, you can tell, since he's got the wrestling fundamentals and they're never going to go away. You could tell he's putting in work at Fight Ready MMA on the big bags, because his hands are getting really, really quick. And I didn't process that. I always looked at Cejudo as one-dimensional. And now that I'm beginning to see that extra dimension shift, I think that considering you're not going to beat Cejudo on the ground and you're not going to beat Wilson on the ground, it's not going to happen. You're going to have to beat one or the other standing up. So just because of that, I'm going to go Cejudo. Just because he likes to press the fight. He gives you flurries of punches, and I see a little more explosiveness just because Cejudo's younger.
So you got him by decision?
Yeah, I got Cejudo by decision.
All right, well, we'll check in next week, find out how that one goes. Next fight, we got Sara McMann versus Ketlen Vieira. Touched on Ketlen Vieira a little while back. Women's female bantamweight division. What you got on them?
Bantamweight fight. McMahon's 11-3, number 5 bantamweight in the world. She's 36 years old, still at number 5. She's 5'6", fighting out of Revolution MMA. She got a really smooth submission choke over Alexis Davis in 2016, and she also got a recent decision win against Jessica Ai. She's an Olympic silver wrestling medalist, complete wrestling judo fundamentals. She's the complete package there. I can't. There's nothing I can touch on and say that anything could be better. She is completely wrestling and take it to the ground based. She's a backpack fighter. Gotta love that. Deadly rear naked grinder and just super tough. And Vieira seems to have that toughness and that grind mentality as well. She's 8-0. She's number 14 bantamweight in the world. She's 26 years old, so much younger, almost 10 years, so she's 8 years younger. She's 5'8", so she's the bigger fighter in this fight, which is a little interesting. She's training at Nova União in Brazil, awesome camp. She's got a decision win over Ashlee Evans-Smith and Kelly Fastholes. She's an orthodox fighter, awesome leg kicks. I really like that. I think if she can use her leg kicks, she could win this. She's consistent at catching opponents' kicks. That's something McMann doesn't do a whole lot of, so that won't help her here. But she likes to press opponents against the cage. She loves judo trips, and she maintains top control really, really well. And I like how her feet are busy, especially as the taller fighter. But I'm gonna go McMann based on experience. I'm gonna lie back on that Olympic silver wrestling, and I think that Vieira is gonna lose by submission.
All right. Well, this one was a tough one for me. With you, I know everything you said. I agree with McMann. She took a loss to Amanda Nunes by rear naked choke. So, but anybody could take a loss to Amanda Nunes. She's out of American Top Team. I don't know if you said that. She's an amazing wrestler. She's a great striker. She's got good feet work. And the girl, like you said, is tough as hell. She can take a punch. Vieira, this girl comes in, you know, she's pretty new to UFC. She's a bigger girl for her weight class. Her debut against, like you said, Kelly Fastholes was a really good fight. You got to see a really good ground game in her. I didn't see anything overwhelming, you know, that she brings to the game, the jiu-jitsu game, but at the same time she stayed in top control, like you said, and she's a grinder, you know. You're going with experience. I guess I'm going with youth. So I've got Vieira by decision.
Fair enough. Watch out for fight of the night on that one, because these girls don't quit.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a good one. The next one, we got Jeremy Stephens versus Gilbert Melendez in the flyweight division. I'll start off. Stephens, man, Iowa native wrestler. This boy brings it. I love watching his fights. We're always excited to see Jeremy come to the table. He's pretty much a veteran in the sport now. Used to fight at 155. The dude's one of those big frame guys for his weight class. He has a knockout on Rafael dos Anjos at 155. That's huge. I describe this guy as like a bull who sees red. He's an old school warrior, big power shots, good kicks, amazing takedown defenses. And he might give Gilbert issues and force the fight to stay on the feet. The dude brawled with Moiciano in his last fight, and he lost that to a split decision. I've watched that fight twice now. I saw that fight completely different. They gave that one to Moiciano, and I didn't see it that way. But anyways, Stephens has lost his last two, so he better hope to pull off a win here. So I'm leaning towards Stephens. Melendez, two-time Strikeforce lightweight champion. I mean, this dude, we can go on and on about Melendez. The dude, he is a champion, period. Former WEC lightweight champion. He's competed in Pride, FC, Shevchenko, Rumble on the Rock. Dude holds the distinction of being one of the select groups of fighters that has been ranked number one in 2 weight classes in MMA. So, like Anderson Silva, Dan Henderson, Randy Couture, BJ Penn, Conor McGregor. Those are the only guys that you know can actually say they've done that. So he's up there. His last fight at lightweight against Edwin Barbosa was a loss. His last win was in 2013 against Diego Nightmare Sanchez. So he's had 3 straight losses in the lightweight division. So he came back down to featherweight. So second most significant strikes in lightweight history. Controversial doping charge after his post-fight test with Eddie Alvarez. So the dude has kind of been wrapped up in controversy and hasn't been pulling off the wins. You know, I don't know if he still has what he used to have. So that's another thing that made me kind of lean towards Jeremy. I know Jeremy's going to bring everything but the kitchen sink like he always does. And I think at this stage in Melendez's game, he may be overwhelmed by Jeremy in the first, second round. What do you think?
First of all, I think Jeremy can overwhelm just about anybody. The problem I think Jeremy has for me is there's no thought about gas tank. It is a super fueled engine. You can see it in his frame. You can see it in the way the dude throws his punches. Everything is meant to hurt you or break you, and that works in 2 ways. Either you can platinum parry somebody out of there, or as you can see in the 3rd round, those guys are not there. They're just not in the fight, and I've seen Stephens slow down in the 3rd. Not just slow down, but basically not have an answer. And don't get me wrong, the dude's a warrior. He's hard to take out. He's hard to get to quit. But man, I don't know. This is another one of those could be another KO of the night or fight of the night contenders, because Melendez, I went back and watched his fight against Alvarez and Anthony Pettis, and it seems like the guy only loses to the best in the world, meaning Barbosa was on top of the world at the time they fought, Alvarez was on top of the world when they fought, and Anthony Pettis, as we know, Showtime was taking over the UFC by storm when they fought. And to some of those guys, he went the full distance with and looked like he had a perfect gas tank in the third. So with that Cesar Gracie jiu-jitsu behind him, training with Nate and Nick, and being 5'9" and being able to go all rounds, I just think you make it out of round one. I think Melendez has the ability to take this just because I think he has more IQ than Stevens, whereas Stevens is your ferocious animal. I think Melendez is your smart chess player, and you kind of have to be a chess player considering I think he has a double black belt at Cesar Gracie, so you got to know how to fight and use those tools to your advantage. So I'm going to go Gilbert. I'm going to go on a limb here and take the guy that is on a 3-loss streak. But what's interesting about this fight to me, Dad, is you got a fighter who has lost 3 fights against nothing but the top talent in the world, and then you got a fighter who's lost his 2 fights against maybe not so much the top talent. So who knows? I could be wrong. The layoff could affect Melendez. I could totally be wrong and reading this wrong. But I think if you can stay out or survive the first round with Stevens, you can pull it out.
All right. Well, we'll see when we come back. I'll go another one where we're at odds. The next fight is, what is this? Llir Latifi versus Tyson Pedro in the light heavyweight division.
From a height perspective, Latifi is 34 years old. He's 5'8". He's coming out of All Stars Training Center. He's number 13 best ranked MMA light heavyweight in the world at 5'8". His last loss was a KO by knees by Ryan Bader. He's got a huge right hand, and he's always looking for the counter right. But the thing I don't like about Latifi is, if you watch his fights, he's on the back foot looking for the counter, trying to, I guess, just be as patient as possible for when that little bitty hole opens up so he can take it and throw it, because this man really can shut your lights out. But that being said, he has a lot of problems finding the range against taller opponents. So, I don't know. With Pedro being 6'3", with a 79-inch reach on a 6-win streak, he's got KO and submission finishes in his first 2 UFC fights. He's pretty long and flowy. I don't know. I'm going to go Pedro. I think I could be wrong here, but I'm going to go Pedro based on youth, based on height, and the ability to take a punch. And I'm going to, that's really all I got. There's not a whole lot of film on Pedro, but he's real long, he's real flowy, and he's really strong. He's got a lot of ability. I just don't think it's been primed yet. But, man, I don't know. This one could go either way. What do you think?
I think you're exactly right. It can go either way, just simply for the fact that both of these guys have knockout power with one punch. Pedro, Australian Samoan fighter. Like you said, this will be his 3rd UFC fight. He's undefeated at 6-0. Is that right?
Yep, 6-0.
Yeah, that's right. He had a finish with a rear naked choke over Khalil Roundtree in his first UFC debut, and then a knockout over Paul Craig. Yeah, man, he proved his chin when Roundtree dropped him with a huge straight left from southpaw, and man, he immediately regained his composure and mounted
for the takedown too.
Yeah, and mounted Roundtree like almost instantly, and he finished with the choke.
That's what you want to see if you're right.
Yeah, and Khalil, dude, you look at that guy. That dude hits like a brick shithouse. So yeah, I'm doing the same thing you are. I'm leaning on Pedro, and again, that is don't take my word for it, because I think that can go either way. That's going to be a banger. We got Neil Magny versus Rafael dos Anjos in the welterweight division next. What you got?
Man, this is a tough one. Neil Magny, ranked at number 9 in the world, 19-5. Strong wrestling, the ability to grind. Gas tank isn't a whole much of an issue. I've seen him slow down in the third. But, man, Dos Anjos, the Shark, he's ranked number 16 in the world. He's 26-9, and he took this fight at welterweight. Oh, God. You know what? Why don't you go first on this one? I want to hear you go.
Well, I mean, what can we say? Magny, he's been in the UFC since 2013. He's fought top-ranked contenders the entire time. He beat Johnny Hendricks in his last fight by decision. You know, Johnny, big rig. Yeah, that's something, man. So he can hold his own. Strong, man. He's just a power package. Dos Anjos. Dude's been around forever, right? Made his debut at UFC 91. He lost to Jeremy Stevens in his first fight. So it's funny how we got a lot of fighters that are intermingling, you know, in past fights on this card. It's kind of cool. That fight was stopped in the third round after a vicious uppercut knockout by Dos Anjos. So this will be the second fight at welterweight, with the first being a victory over Tarek Safadine. And he had serious issues cutting weight to make lightweight, so that was what kind of drove the decision to move up. And he looks good. He looks real healthy. We know what he brings to the table, and you know that's everything but the kitchen sink. So it's going to be a banger. I'm leaning on Magny. I don't know really why, other than I just kind of felt it. I really liked what I saw with him and Johnny Hendricks, and I think he may approach this fight very, very similar. How about you?
The catch for me is you got Dos Anjos coming out of King's MMA, and it's just such an awkward fight. They're so good at the same things and aspects of each other's game plans. But the problem for me is Dos Anjos is 5'9" and Magny's 6'3". And I don't know. Here's what's weird is Dos Anjos, we can always expect to come out and bang and give us a show and give us a fight. And actually, if I look right here, yeah, he in 2016, his fight with Tony was the best MMA fight of the year for 2016. And then his loss to Eddie Alvarez was UFC Fight Night 90 performance of the night. So the dude's used to giving us shows and what we pay for, but I'm not sure that's the game plan for him here. I'm actually more confident that Dos Anjos can get it done on the ground and backpack Magny, or drive him into the fence and use some of that Muay Thai, the Brazilian Muay Thai, because he's right out of Rio. So,
well, I've seen Magny on his back, and he's a good scrambler. He doesn't like to be on his back. So, yeah, I don't know. I think this one's going to stay on its feet. I think we'll probably see very little ground out of this. And again, who knows till we come back on it. We're running short of time. I hate to push this, but we got to get through 3 more fights. We got Amanda Nunes versus Valentina Shevchenko in the female bantamweight. This is the co-main event for the night, and I'm excited for this fight.
Me too. I'm going Dos Anjos on the last one.
Oh, sorry, bro. I didn't mean to cut you, bro.
It's all good. So, Amanda Nunes, I don't think she can be beat. Can Shevchenko do this? Yes, she has the ability. She has the Muay Thai. She's a Muay Thai champion, I think. Was she undefeated? I can't remember if she was undefeated, but I don't think she was ever defeated because she was multiple world time champion. So she's got it in her legs. She's got the tools you need. But come on, how can you not go with Amanda Nunes with what she's proven in the past? The explosiveness. Now here's the catch in this fight though, is it's another one of those gas tank fights. If we're talking 5 rounds, Valentina's going to be there. I mean, we've seen it. She does it. She does it no problem. She's in shape. She's ready to go, which that's what Muay Thai helps. But I think what's interesting, too, is Nunes is in the best shape I've ever seen her. Her stomach is finally cut up. You can see maybe that was a whole setup plan with she just wasn't in cardio shape with the whole pull out on the last main event that she had to pull out with Shevchenko. But Yeah, no, I think Nunes is boxing. I think her jiu-jitsu, I think her wrestling, there's just nowhere I can deduct her, even though this is a number one versus number two. I just don't think Shevchenko throws it like Nunes does. That's my simple breakdown of this fight.
Yeah, I went back and watched Shevchenko versus Nunes 1. It was 3 rounds, and Nunes... Oh, man, I'm getting some of my fights crisscrossed, but I think Nunes won that by unanimous decision.
She did, barely.
Okay. Yeah, and all I know is she has improved. What leans me immediately to Nunes, based on everything that you said, just falls in line with the fact that she just gets better and she's improved time and time again. Every time she comes to the ring to defend, I see something a little bit more in her game that she's added. She's so well-rounded at this point. She was a kickboxer that transformed into an MMA star. And, those kickboxers, they already know how to strike. They know how to kick. And she's a brown belt in judo, black belt in jiu-jitsu. The girl is so well-rounded. I also think she's Bruno Mars' twin. Just throwing that out there.
I wish I had a picture of the two.
Right? But, she beat
They're
Sara
twins,
McMann.
I swear.
She beat Sara McMann, who's also on this night's card. She trains out of American Top Team. Her build physically, I thought, is very similar to Shevchenko. She's got that wide base with strong legs. She beat Tate for the belt. Her first defense against Rousey, second title defense. She was scheduled to face Shevchenko. I guess she had sinusitis, had to pull out the night before. So with the pair, originally fighting UFC 196, Nunes took hell in that fight. I guess she was hospitalized the morning of the fight, so she had to pull out on this second fight. And the fans want to see this again because they think Shevchenko really gave her a run for the money. I personally think that Carolina gave her the best run that we've seen thus far. I hope to see that fight again. If Shevchenko does not win, I would love to see Carolina get her second chance as well, because I thought she put up a hell of a fight. Shevchenko, Russian Muay Thai southpaw. She can weather a storm. She's tough. Again, her second attempt at Nunes. They met the first time at McGregor-Diaz 1, and I thought it was a hell of a show. She put and displayed great Muay Thai skills. She's got excellent elbows, good knees, good striker. She wears her opponents down just using a barrage of strikes. She's not like just a single puncher. She brings combos to the table. She's won her last 2 fights against Holly Holm and Juliana Pena. And the only thing that I see that's not in her favor is that she's never gone 5 rounds. So, with all that being said, man, Nunes, she's our champion, man. I don't know who the hell can beat her, but I haven't seen anybody come close yet, other than Shevchenko and Carolina. So, if anybody can get the job done, I guess it's going to be one of them, I would assume. But again, I'm not getting off the Nunes bandwagon until somebody beats her.
And there's no reason to. The only girl in the world, I think, right now that actually could do it is Shevchenko, which is why she's getting a second shot at it. But, I read somewhere there's a betting statistic for all you bettors out there, that in any type of rematch, there's a psychological advantage. So there's a 66% chance that the winner from the first match wins the second. I'm not saying that that's completely true. I'm just saying that's what I've heard. And I have to fall back on the logic of Nunes knows she did it once. She knows what she needs to correct to do it twice. Whereas Shevchenko lost, you're making more adjustments. There's more added pressure, and that can either fuel you to be better. But I don't see where you can prime potential into Nunes' natural strength. I think in this rare situation, I take Nunes' strength over the ability to go 5 rounds.
Yeah, and that's what I'm betting on, because it's the strength. I've actually got Nunes knockout round 2 based on exactly what you just said. The strength is the difference to me. That is the determining factor.
Right, at bantamweight, if you can generate that from your hips, if you can generate the elbows in the clinch, and also the other thing we didn't talk about with Nunes is there's a killer in there. There is a ferocious animal that lives within her, and the lioness is real. And I tried to tell the world when she went to go fight Ronda, and everybody called me crazy and said, there's no way. And I said, do you think that girl is scared of anything on the ground with a black belt in jiu-jitsu and a black belt in judo or a brown belt in judo?
Yeah, brown belt.
So there's what you get to rely on, and then you get to take all the kickboxing and strikes that she literally strikes like a man. And I'm sure she could take out top 10 bantamweights in the men's division. So, Nunes all the way. That's my woman champ, and until someone can take her out, I'm there.
I'm right there with you. Last, we finished with the main event, Demetrious Johnson versus Ray Borg, flyweight division. I'll let you break that down.
I think the simple breakdown is, does Ray Borg even have a chance against Mighty Mouse? I mean, really?
Yeah.
I think he
does.
I think Ray Borg has to get his back, but let's see here. I'm on Tapology right now.
Dude, Ray Borg is going to bring it, and man, this was a hard one for me. I'm surprised it's not for you. Ray Borg hit. Well, my God, man, that guy, the Louis Smolka fight was. I felt bad for Louis Smolka. I really did. And if he can bring it like he brought it to that fight, man, he was like a monkey on a tree trying to get to a bunch of bananas, man. I mean, it didn't matter. Nothing was going to stop him. He was all over it, limb for limb. I was really impressed with just the guy's so well-rounded. I didn't see really a whole lot of weaknesses in his game. Demetrious, there's nothing else to be said. He's the champ. And, I'm going with him until he proves me otherwise. I've got Demetrious by decision because I think Ray Borg can go all the way with him. So that's where I stand. What do you think?
Interesting stat for you. Exactly 4% of the world thinks Ray Borg has a chance in this. And I'm with it. I'll be honest with you. I can't really give Borg the time of day here just because he's fighting Demetrious, because Demetrious doesn't have anyone else to fight. Seriously, that's for right now. That's the last little utensil or tool you have to trying to pry that belt from Johnson's belt. I mean, I think there's a certain point where, call it the John Jones era for Mighty Mouse, but it is the dude. Even if you take his back, we've watched him grind a whole round with somebody on his back and attempting the what was that choke? It was the rear naked, right? And then the rear naked turned into a guillotine. Yeah, to a Darce, and from the Darce to an Anaconda, and then once I saw him get his head trapped twice in the same fight, and I think once was in round 2 and once was in round 4, and then still have the strength and the ability to take that pressure, not panic, not throw himself into a scenario that's going to get him caught or make it worse on himself. The dude is the number 1 fighter in the world, and I'm sorry, Ray Borg, but good luck. Good luck to you. I think this is going to end in round 2.
All right.
I really do.
Well, I'm on the bandwagon, of course, for Demetrious. I don't see anybody beating him anytime soon, but I think Ray Borg is going to give him a hell of a run for his money. I think
Ray. It's a great treat that we get both the number 1 male fighter and the number 1 female fighter on the same card for the co-main and the main. I think that's a real treat for us, because if one of them lose, well, then the number 1 ranking changes inevitably. But I'm going with both number 1s here, really.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I'm hoping that we're able to come back next week and brag about the picks the way we did this week, because it really felt good to come back victorious. We will be back here on September 11th. We're going to drop our picks for UFC Fight Night with Luke Rockhold versus David Branch. Saturday, September 18th, free on FS1. They also got the co-headlining main event with Platinum Mike Perry and Thiago Pitbull Alves. So that's going to be a hell of a fight for free. So, yeah, man, we'll be getting our picks in. I'm excited. This is going to be a good pay-per-view. And we will, I guess, come back here next Monday and give it to you straight. And hopefully we'll be able to hold our hands up high again next week.
Right, and seriously, we really encourage you. If you want to pick Ray Borg and you think he has a chance and you're seeing something that we didn't see, leave a comment. Please subscribe on our Instagram page, on our YouTube page, on our Twitter, SDP_MMA. We want to know what you have to say. If you think that, I know a lot of people think Shevchenko is going to do this. I know a lot of people are riding that wagon. Please tell us. Prove us wrong. This is what it's all about. If you think Magny, if you think Latifi, any of our picks, and you don't think we're calling it right, tell us. We want to know why, and hopefully we'll give you a response in the next video. So
yes, we're looking for good things to come. We're talking about some future shows and getting some merchandise and doing some giveaways, and we've got a lot of things planned for the future. We're going to make this better and better, and as long as we keep winning, we keep getting more viewers and some subscribers and push this thing in the right direction, we're going to make this thing really cool. So thanks to everybody that's come and given us a view, a like, a listen. Like SkyDon said, please subscribe. It's the only way we can make sure that we're really, this thing's really working, and we got people that are wanting to come back and get more information and help this community grow. So let us know you're out there too. Please drop us a line, drop us a comment. SDP on MMA at yahoo.com as well. Also on Twitter, SDP MMA on Twitter. And
hey, Dad, before we go, we forgot to, for all the bettors out there, who are you throwing on your parlays? What are you straight lining?
Ooh, man. Well, I mean, I just gave you all my picks. I did make a crazy parlay today that I'll show you. Let's see here. All right.
I know a good dog, if he comes out a dog, is Pedro. Think he could really do that?
Well, this is my crazy parlay, okay? This is a $5 bet that can earn you $600. That includes Neil Magny, Wilson Hayes, Jeremy Stevens, Amanda Nunes, Michael Bisping, and Cody Garbrandt. It's a 6-team fight card. Like I said, $5 will win you $600. I've got that one in, and I'm pushing that.
Very nice. For me, guys, I'm going heavy on in my lines this week. I'm going to go ahead and take Gavin Tucker. I'm looking forward to real big things from him. We went over that earlier in the video. I'm just really, really looking forward to his performance. I'm putting Ashlee Evans-Smith in there as well. This Moras cat looks really good, but I think Evans is going to put it on her. And I think Pedro. And I think that's about it as far as for being sure. And if you want a good chance at really hitting some money, add those to your parlays.
Good deal. Well, I'm Shadow Don. That's Skylar Don. We are SDP on MMA. And once again, thanks a lot for listening. If you made it this far, we can't thank you enough. Appreciate you. We'll see you. Talk to you next week.
See y'all next week. Be blessed.